You know that I've always appreciated your sober second thoughts and your ability to kind of break it down, take a step back and understand. And right across North America, the most popular chant by far right now is "Ref, you suck." Have you noticed a difference in the playoffs, in the way this is being officiated, or is this just the modern world of replays and super slow-mos for referees in all sports?
Well, let me throw it right back at you, because we had kind of this conversation a year ago.
Yeah.
Are you happy with the officiating, Tim? I can't recall you complaining about it this year, or are you?
No, here's I'm of two minds, honestly, and I don't know where I'm at, because I've been troubled by the refs not calling the rule book in the past.
Right.
And I feel like they're looking at me straight in the eye and saying, this is the way you wanted it, isn't it? This is what you wanted. But my issue has always been consistency. And that, to me, seems like the hardest thing to do for an official, is to keep it consistent. What you're looking at right here is the number of penalties called per game. And we went and looked it up. And listen, in 8 of the last, I believe, 11 years, the number has gone up in the postseason.
10 years in a row.
Penalties called. This year, it's gone up from 7.42 penalties per game in the regular season to 11.84 in the postseason, which seems like a significant number to me.
Well, a couple of things on that. First of all, there's been some line brawls. That adds to the number. And as you know, there have been all these lopsided games. So when you have lopsided games where there's over 20 decided by 3 or more goals, you have more penalties called late in games just out of frustration. So I think the officiating's been terrific. I mean, you can certainly find a call here and there, but I look at last night, Sheldon Keefe, you can't even talk about refereeing in this series being a factor. I think it's been excellent. And I thought watching Game 4 Calgary-Dallas last night in Dallas, the penalty shot to Goodrow, a couple of other things, 5-on-3 at a crucial moment, and Greg Millen had foreshadowed, this game will be decided on special teams, which it generally is, which is why you have to really think carefully as a referee about the role you're going to play. The scarcity or the sanctity of a goal, power plays change all that. So you do have a significant contribution to the outcome. And I think the refereeing was great in the Dallas game. They're dealing with Jamie Benn, who's running all over the place. They're dealing with Tkachuk and Klingberg. And so that's all happening. Those are the reasons the numbers are up. And as the league said, 10 straight years, there have been more penalties in the playoffs per game than in the regular season. So they don't put the whistles away, is the moral of that story.
Do you think they're calling it a little tighter this year? Because there's the one side to me where it feels like they're calling the rule book. But what you said is true. We've had a lot of line brawls. We've had some out of touch games where guys take some liberties. So you don't think it's more of the rule book?
I think they wanted to make it clear that they would call the rules.
Yeah.
So, what you were saying a year ago, Tim, I think the league is on your side there. So they are giving you what you want, and I hope you're happy with it, because, David Adams Richards, a senator, a great writer, wrote a book called Hockey Dreams. And when everything changed after Brendan Shanahan's summit, I said, what do you think of it, David? Because he liked kind of the old school. Yeah. He says, Ron, whatever they do, you kind of get used to it. And I think that's the truth. I think the playoffs have been fantastic. You've got Colorado's Colorado, and they did what they did because Nashville didn't have their goalie is probably a factor. But after that, you've got all these series tight. So what my new theory, Tim, on this whole thing is we're giving away the Stanley Cup for the 3rd year in a row in the summertime.
Right.
3 straight years in the summertime, and that's why we're having all these flip-flops.
I will say this. I do give the referees a hard time. I have the ultimate respect for what they do.